Just a little bit. All right. This is the second episode
We're back.
of now permanently titled No Pain, No Wayne. We're here. We did it.
We did it, yes.
Now, we just came off of watching Ride Him Cowboy, but before we get into that,
Oh boy.
we may have missed some crucial information in the last installment
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
regards to the big trail, or a big trail.
Yes, that is. Yep, a big trail.
Micah, please tell us what we missed.
Yes, so after recording our review of A Big Trail, I decided to do a bit more deep diving into the film. And oh my heavens, we missed quite a bit. So yes, this is officially a new segment now, house cleaning bit, where if we miss anything from the previous episode, we'll, I guess, do a bit of house cleaning per the title. First off, I want to clarify, Wendy, well, not Wendy, his name is Wendy.
No, it isn't.
Yep, yeah.
They say Windy.
Yeah, because the subtitle said Wendy. That was a bit of subtitle error, too.
No.
Yep, so it is Wendy.
Oh my god.
So we got a bit mixed up on that.
We really did.
Yeah, that was a bit of an error. And then next thing I'm going to point attention to Raoul Walsh himself,
Yes.
Mr. Eye Patch Man himself,
Mm-hmm.
total badass. When he was casting for the film, he ran into a bit of trouble, right?
Yeah.
And so he needed someone to be the big role, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he chose one John Wayne, whose real name actually is Marion Morrison. But we'll get to that later.
Marion Morrison?
Marion Morrison, that is his name, real name. And can you guess what one Marion Morrison did to obtain the role?
The starring role of the entire film.
Of this very...
Now we have found out how much did it cost?
It was estimated $2 million, which is probably about 40 to 50 million in today's standards.
But didn't John Wayne say it could have been more?
He did say it was probably more like 4.
A $4
Yep.
million movie.
Which is equivalent to like Oppenheimer.
That's Oppenheimer budget. So to have the starring role in what would be an almost $80 million movie,
Mm-hmm.
what, please for the love of God, what took Marion Morrison to become the star of one of the biggest movies?
Yes. So what he did to earn this role, he simply unloaded some cargo out of some trucks. That is all. That
It
is
was
all.
a truck loader?
Raoul Walsh was desperate.
He looked at him and said, "He'll do."
Yep.
But I'm going to change his name to John Wayne.
Yep. The backstory of that. So Raoul Walsh, he hated the name Marion Morrison for whatever reason.
I thought I read he thought it was too feminine.
Is
It
that
was
what
too
it was?
it was too Italian and too feminine.
Interesting.
I know.
Yeah, so apparently John Wayne derives from like some war hero during the Revolutionary War. Like I don't know if the guy's name was like William Wayne or something.
That's right.
Is that what it was?
It was something along those lines.
Yeah. So and then they just did John instead. So that's it.
Something I think is interesting. The two Western stars is John Wayne and Clint Eastwood.
Mm-hmm.
John Wayne, Italian American,
Yes.
has to hide his Italian nature by changing his name, right?
Right.
To star in American Westerns.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood, American born and bred,
Mm-hmm.
makes Italian Westerns and has to pretend to
spaghetti
speak
Westerns.
Italian.
Absolutely.
And they have a fierce rivalry.
Oh, that's
That
funny.
has added such a new and beautiful, ironic layer to that feud. They really were two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
That's magical. Please continue, because I see you have a few more notes.
I got I took a bit of note taking. Yes, this part is my favorite. We're going to the casualties that took place on a big trail.
The real human lives which were lost.
The real human souls that were lost on the set of the big trail, which was seven. Seven souls, unfortunate souls, lost their lives.
Wait, I shouldn't be laughing. It's incredibly... it's in such bad taste.
It is.
It's in such bad taste. But they died for a flop.
Yes, and according to IMDb, where the 7 people perished occurred on the rain scene, right?
Just the rain scene, which we hated.
We hated that. Yeah,
we thought it was
awful.
That's the mud scene we were talking
Grueling,
about.
yeah.
The grueling scene that goes on forever.
Yeah.
Real human beings died.
At least one, yes.
Holy shit.
And then the second scene where people perished was the wagon falling off of the cliff. Now, if you do recall, and the listeners back home will recall, they made a joke out of it.
They made a stupid joke about someone hoping that their aunt died.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me, Micah, in God's own truth, that wagon was not supposed to fall.
It wasn't supposed to happen. No.
Means the joke was not scripted. So they could have just played that as a tragic scene. Oh my God!
Right.
But they actively made the death of real humans, which you then see, I imagine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That must be on film. This should be X-rated.
Yeah.
That should be an X-rated movie. We watched people actually die just then.
Absolutely.
They actually show the wagon falling twice.
Yep, twice. I don't know if it's the same wagon or multiple wagons, but
at some point, real humans die.
That's insanity.
Horrifying to know.
Yeah.
And to make a gag out of it with Gus.
With Gus. God. Oh man. So yes, that is all of the extra trivia that I have for a big trail.
That's some red hot trivia.
It is. Yeah. It's scalding hot.
That perfectly rides that line of a fact of both something interesting to learn and a horrifying revelation.
Yeah. And another thing we really didn't, touch on was just how dry John Wayne is in that film. It's incredible.
He's abysmal.
He is awful.
You get no personality.
Mm-hmm.
Which I believe we can use that as a bit of a segue here. To Ride Him Cowboy, where you really get a feel for the John Wayne charisma.
Absolutely.
You really get a sense that he's enjoying it. Now, this is... Okay. We're jumping ahead in time now. This is Ride Him Cowboy, released 1932.
Yes.
Sadly, from my research, the John Wayne Westerns from the rest of the 1930 and 1931 are not preserved online insofar as I could tell, or at least they aren't made available.
Yeah.
Because, just like last time, the film has deteriorated and rotten away. Sometimes, some of the films, the only evidence of their existence are the pictures on IMDb. And that's all that's left of some of them. So we're jumping ahead 2 years.
Yes, yeah.
But I'm kind of glad, because you can really see he got a lot better at acting.
He did get a bit better, yeah. Which is... yeah.
So I think we just jump right into walking through the movie.
Yeah,
as it goes.
Yeah.
So opening shot, very fun. You get a beautiful picture of what is clearly a miniature house.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly small house, but it's wonderful. It's not a very good miniature. It's not very detailed at all. But what we have are some criminals creeping around in the rain, trying to rob the Gordon Ranch, I believe, the Gordon family ranch.
Yeah.
And on this ranch, there's a giant white horse named Duke.
Yes.
And so, while the criminals are trying to break into this ranch, they club a man with a rifle. And then Duke the horse savagely attacks these burglars.
Duke is crazy, bro.
Frightening them off.
Yeah.
And then the mystery begins. What's going on with Duke the horse? Who are these burglars? What's going on? So, the burglars, I believe, one of them doesn't run away, and that is our man Sims, correct?
Sims, aka the Hawk.
The Hawk.
Yep.
So, Sims stays behind and then says, "Oh my gosh, this guy's been clubbed.
Mm-hmm.
Duke the horse did it. Duke the horse attacked this man.
Try the horse.
We need to kill this horse." To which the town's response is, "We have to put the horse on trial."
Animal trial.
An animal on trial, which is a real thing.
Is it?
That has happened a couple times. In France in the 17th century, a pig was hanged for the murder of a 14-year-old girl.
Really?
They hung the pig. Well, they hanged the pig.
Yes.
But there are a couple cases where this has happened. So I'll give the movie that. As absurd as it is, as insane as that is, the horse is on trial.
Yeah.
And when we say trial, there is an actual judge presiding. There's a defense, there's a prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
So the trial's happening.
Yep.
Enter John Wayne.
Enter our hero. What's the John Drury?
John
So that is his name.
Drury.
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 Yep.
We're gonna stick to John or John Wayne because John Drury is really hard to say.
We'll stick to John.
We'll call him John. We'll keep it short. John rides into town and sees the commotion and is immediately on the side of the horse, which I think is important. In his mind, that horse absolutely could have murdered someone.
Yeah.
He doesn't know the horse is innocent. He has zero information on who or what this horse is or what has happened.
Yeah.
He rides in and says, he hears them. He hears the people who are like, "No one's been able to ride that horse. That horse would kill anyone who tried to get on him." And so he walks up just before the judge calls the horse guilty. And he says, "I'll ride that horse. I'll mount that stallion." And he sounds like classic John Wayne.
Yeah.
He's got that drawl,
Yep.
that phrasing, and it's wonderful. I mean, it's just movie magic. It's so much better.
It is.
Have we talked about music?
We have not talked about the music yet.
This movie has music. That's another thing of cleanup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Big Trail, I believe it has... Yeah, it might have some.
I don't remember any music at all in that film.
Like right at the beginning or right at the end. Or like during the cards.
Oh yeah, or during the cards and right at the beginning. Yep.
But
right.
in the scenes, it's so quiet. And it's just ambient noise.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, you've got a banging, classic
Yep.
Americana Western music.
And in addition, John Drury, harmonica man.
He plays the mouth organ.
Yep. Walking into the trial, he's tooting on that harmonica. I mean, he's killing it.
He's playing, what's the song? She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes.
Yep.
She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes.
That's right.
I can't remember the name of that song.
It's probably coming around the mountain.
It's
Something like that. as she comes in parentheses.
That's a damn good theory. I think you might be onto something there. Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. Yeah, he's tooting on the mouth organ.
Yeah,
The harmonica.
Oh man.
And oh my god, the hats during this scene.
Yes.
You have the whole town together, so you get to see every character in the entire movie all at once. And they have spectacular hats.
They're massive.
These are 15-gallon hats.
At least.
Not even 10.
At
15.
least.
They're huge, including John Wayne's. Which, the vertical length of the hat is equal to his head
Absolutely.
plus 50%, I think.
Probably.
It's bigger than his head.
It is.
And it's super round. It's like a dinner tray.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful.
It's magnificent. It's beautiful, really.
It really takes your breath away, and it's crimped in all the four corners,
Yeah.
like a park ranger's hat,
Exactly.
not like a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
I've never quite seen a hat like it.
Right. Yeah.
And there's even better than John's. There's one guy in the background for I want to say
Way background.
for like 4 frames. There's an extra with a hat that's even larger. It's pitch black.
Yep.
And it's like shining, and it's like I couldn't take my eyes off him. This background guy, I think he has what it takes to be a star.
Absolutely.
He could have been. I feel like that's how Raoul Walsh found John Wayne. Is there's
Exactly,
just
yeah.
this one guy, and he's like, "You have what it takes just from visuals alone." That's how I feel about background hat guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a spectacular man.
Mm-hmm.
He really took my breath away. So anyway, we're in the trial. John has spoken up on behalf of the horse.
Yes.
He says, "I'll ride the horse.
A riding cowboy.
I'm gonna," and then everyone screams, "Ride him, cowboy!"
Like hundreds of people.
They're
The entire
screaming it.
town.
Everyone's hooting and hollering.
Yeah.
And I mean that as literally as I can say it. They were hooting and hollering and yelling, "Ride him, cowboy." Those are the
Absolutely.
3 things the entire crowd did. And so we get a fantastic scene of John Wayne riding a bucking bronco, a bright white bucking bronco, to try and break him.
Yep.
And interspersed, which I presume there's a stunt guy pretending to be John Wayne.
Yeah.
Intercut with the real footage of a real man riding an actual bucking bronco
Mm-hmm.
are these front-facing shots of John Wayne flying up and down from the waist up as though he's on a horse, and it is
incredible.
clearly not him on a horse. And it's wonderful.
It's magnificent.
Also, they speed up the frames.
Yep.
So it's like it's in fast forward. Like, it's so fast. He's hurtling across the screen.
They do that constant. They did that a lot in A Big Trail as well.
They did that for the horses specifically.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which they do again here. And I'm wondering if that was like a Hollywood trick. Or if there's some sort of reasoning. Because every time a horse is moving on screen, they don't cut any of the footage. They speed it up.
Yeah.
Which is a brilliant idea. If you want your movie to be a certain runtime, don't cut stuff out. Just speed up the scenes.
It looks ridiculous as hell.
It's outrageous. It's completely outrageous. But John succeeds, and he rides the horse.
He tamed the stallion.
He tamed the stallion. Therefore, Duke is pronounced innocent. Which really pisses off the hawk.
Yeah.
And so, after this, the townspeople are like, "Wow, you did a great job of riding that horse. Do you think you could hunt down this killer for us?" Because riding a horse is completely equal to hunting down a gunslinger who's been murdering and rampaging for months.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what, and John agrees because he's a good man.
Exactly.
One thing we should note, this is an amazing coincidence. The love interest in this movie.
Yes.
Her name is Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly like the last movie.
Yep.
It's another Ruth.
2 Ruths.
It's fantastic. We're not going to probably mention her until the end because she literally has 0 character.
Yeah.
But just know that she currently exists within the film and will come back at the end.
Yep.
So John decides to go out. Should we mention Clout at this moment?
I don't remember who Cloud is again.
He's the comic relief character that every classic movie needs.
Yeah.
What do we even say about him? He's just a goofy guy. He just does like 30s comedy. Let me do an example of one of the jokes for the listener. And then we don't need to speak about him anymore
No.
because he's one joke.
Yeah.
During the movie, we're going to skip over this scene because it doesn't matter. There's a dance.
Mm-hmm.
And at this dance, Clout asks Ruth for a dance. And he says, "May I have this last dance, Ruth? I saved it just for you." To which Ruth responds, "I'd like to save your dance for last. I remember it for weeks after." And then her and John walk away laughing. And Cloud's grinning, and then he scowls because he realizes they made fun of him. And then it cuts away from him, and that's the joke. That's every single joke he is involved with, is Cloud says something. People make fun of him. He looks like an idiot for a second, and then he gets mad.
Yeah.
But for a frame or two, he gets mad, and then it cuts away. That's
Cloud.
Cloud's entire character. Poor Cloud. I feel so bad for the bastard. He's just a punching bag throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic part. So, John has agreed to hunt the Hawk, this bandit who murdered the love interest's father.
Yep.
She doesn't seem too bothered about that. She kind of laughs a little bit after saying
She does.
she's an interesting actress.
Yeah.
This is her, I believe I read this was her first role.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it up to that. This is
Right.
her first role. Didn't quite have the delivery down. Fair enough. Didn't have much to work with.
Yeah.
So who agrees to help John find the Hawk's, roaming grounds, like country where he's camped out, than Mr. Sims himself?
Yes.
Who, if you'll remember, is the Hawk.
Yes.
This is where the film kind of loses me for a second.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Just a touch. John and Sims go out into the desert.
Yep.
And they're talking about gunslinging.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sims is like, "I heard the Hawk is a great shot." And then he shoots a cactus like 20 yards away.
Right.
And then John basically says, "Well, I'm not too bad with an iron myself."
Right.
And then shoots the cactus right next to the one Sims shot.
Yeah.
And then Sims says, "I heard the Hawk could shoot a flower from twice that distance."
And he does it.
And then he shoots a flower at twice that distance. And then John has set down his gun, and Sims is taking it at this moment.
Yeah.
And John looks at him for a couple seconds, and then raises his hands above his head and says, "You're the Hawk."
Yep.
And then it hard cuts away from John's face. The Hawk is standing, both guns pointed at him.
Yeah.
Like, kind of crouch. It's a real awkward position.
It is.
Oh my god. We forgot to talk about how smart Duke was.
Oh, Duke is a genius.
We're
Smartest horse.
We're hard cutting, pausing this scene. Remember that image? That will be important. We're going to come back to that, but it won't make sense unless we go back and preface this.
Yep.
Duke the horse is so unbelievably smart. There's a point just before John is going to leave. Ruth says, "You should ride Duke. He's the horse you should ride. He'll take good care of you." John says no, at which point Duke, the horse, comes into frame and unsaddles John's horse, unties him from a post, and then rides him into the forest before running back and standing next to the saddle on the ground.
Yep.
Basically saying, "Now you have to ride me, fucker." And John does.
Yep.
This is John Wayne and Duke.
John and the Duke, yes.
Which is an iconic duo for 6 movies?
Yes, we have... Oh, let me look here. This film was the first of 6 featuring the horse, Duke. So we got 5 more films featuring the Duke.
So I'm deeply excited because Duke was my favorite character.
Absolutely.
Easily.
Either that or the second judge. We'll get to him.
Oh my God, we will get to it. We're going through this way too quick.
We are.
We gotta slow down, take some breaths. Hard cut desert.
Yep. Back to the
Duke
desert.
is tied to a tree.
Yeah.
John Wayne sitting in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
The hawk is pointing 2 revolvers at him.
Yep.
The hawk decides, as a murderer and criminal, I'm going to tie John to a tree.
Leave him out for dead.
To a Joshua tree.
Yeah.
Tie him up, leave him for dead in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
He even takes his hat off.
Yeah.
You won't be so lonesome with old soul looking over you. Which is a fun little thing. And so we've got John, helpless, tied to a Joshua tree. Duke tied to a bramble, like a big, dead tree.
Yeah.
Off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
The hawk rides away after taking our hero's mouth organ, which I thought really stung.
It did.
He took the harmonica.
Yep.
That's fucked up. You can take a man's life, but you can't take his harmonica.
Truthfully.
That's what I was taught ever since I was a child. That's where the line is drawn in the sand, in the proverbial sand. This is the situation our hero, John, finds himself for quite a while. Now the movie will cut between where Sims is and where John is. So how do we discuss this? I think we give an idea of what's going on with John, and then we cut back to Sims, just like the movie does.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. So frantically, Duke the horse is running around, pulling at its rope because he's tied to this tree, and he wants to help John.
Yeah.
Why?
Hours pass.
Hours pass. We have seen Sims ride to Mexico, where he has a large compound full of gang members. They agree to go back to the Gordon Ranch and finish what they started.
Yeah.
Cut back. Duke is bending the tree out of the earth. He's ripping a dead tree out of the ground with his pure strength. Cut.
Remarkable. Yep.
Oh, John's dripping with sweat.
Yeah.
He's drenched.
Yes.
Hard cut. We have a barn burning. And this is a great action scene. The whole gang, the Hawks gang, is burning down a farm.
Yeah.
They kill a man and they burn a ranch down. And Sims, the hawk, takes that harmonica he stole from John, throws it on the ground, rides away.
Yeah.
Cut. Duke the horse with his mouth, unties the rope.
Reties it.
That's a goof.
That is a goof.
So
He
the
reties.
horse is supposed to be untying him, but because it's a horse, like a real horse, they train to actually untie knots.
Yeah.
It kind of screws up, so the knot in between cuts completely changes shape, and at one point the horse actually makes the knot tighter. But it works. In the movie it works. If you don't think about it, the horse unties him.
Yeah.
Why not? Of course he does.
Yeah.
John
It's
has
Duke.
It's Duke.
Yeah.
Duke the horse.
Yeah.
John has a huge sip of water and rides off. Now it's morning. John is presumably still out in the desert heading back. The townsfolk are investigating the burned ranch when comic relief character Clout finds the harmonica on the ground and says, "Oh my God, John Drury is the Hawk." And everyone agrees, and they mount up a posse to go find and hang him.
Yeah.
That is the goal. Fast forward a little bit. We see a gang of about 3-4 guys, including the sheriff, stumble across John. John, who is like, "Oh my God, I have to get back to town," tell them Sims is the Hawk.
Yeah.
But the townsfolk find him first and say, we caught you. You're the Hawk." John's obviously like, "Me? You don't think I'm the Hawk?" Verbatim what he says.
Right.
Before getting tied up with a lasso. And he's trying to argue that it's Sims. No one believes him because they found a harmonica and there's no bigger piece of evidence. Criminals are known for leaving their musical instruments at the scene of their crimes.
Yep.
Clearly he's the Hawk. There's no other explanation. They want to hang him literally on the spot, correct?
Yeah.
What does the sheriff say?
We gotta bring him to this judge. He's never lost a trial or never lost a prisoner in 11 years.
In 11 years, this judge in Desolation.
Yep.
He lives in the town of Desolation.
Yeah.
And he's never lost a prisoner in 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to see them go to Desolation. And it's literally, the name is so perfect. It's about 4 buildings, like each 50 to 70 feet apart from one another.
Yeah.
And clearly falling apart.
Yeah.
No one is here.
Except this judge.
Except for a man in judge's clothing.
And his horse.
Screaming at a horse. Like he's gonna try it for a murder. This is the judge. When he sees people coming, this is the best joke in the movie, he says, "Oh, good, customers. I haven't had one of these in 10 years. Let me call your minds back. This judge hasn't lost a prisoner in over 11 years. 10 of those years
He's been in Desolation.
completely alone." It's fantastic. So the judge is completely batshit insane.
Absolutely.
It's
crazy.
clean cut. He says we need to have a trial in this tequila bar.
Yep.
Let's set it up. And it's just a ramshackle mess of a trial. It's a real shit show.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole trial, they just have Sims saying, "It was clearly you. We found the harmonica." And every time John tries to say anything, the judge bashes a bottle against the bar counter, using that as a gavel. And what happens with his iconic gavel, Micah?
It shatters.
Of course. We were joking, wouldn't it be funny if his bottle broke? And then not 30 seconds pass.
It breaks.
It breaks. What happens after the bottle breaks, Micah? What's his solution to the broken bottle?
He grabs yet another bottle.
He just grabs another bottle. We don't even see him grab it.
Yeah.
It just cuts, and then he's using a different bottle as a gavel. While the trial is going on, Ruth, the love interest, comes back into the movie from her extended leave. And the man, who you will remember got clubbed in the head during the initial robbery, is waking up. And he says to Ruth, "No, it wasn't Duke the horse who hit me. It was Sims. Sims is the hawk. Holy shit." Ruth is like, "I have to go," rides off towards the trial. While she is riding towards the trial, who does she run into?
She runs into Sims' posse men.
3 absolute dunderheads. They're not very bright. They're very much portrayed as being idiots.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie. You see them once or twice. They're never named, though, so we're not going to give too much attention.
Yeah.
But they're 3 bad guys.
Yeah.
That's all they need to be. And they're dumb. So Ruth says, "Oh." She clearly can tell they're evil, so she says, "I'm the hawk's girl. They're gonna try him for Moida. They're gonna try him. We need to go get to him, and we've got to save him."
Mm-hmm.
So these 3 dunderheads, even though they've never seen this woman before, are like, "Yep, you're our boss's girlfriend. Let's get the fuck over there." And so they ride away. By this time, John has been found guilty. Guilty of murder.
Yeah.
And they're getting ready to kill him when Ruth arrives on the scene. She says to the 3 criminals, "You stay here till I give the signal. I'm gonna go inside and figure something out." They're like, "Okay, 2 thumbs up, we'll do that." She goes inside. And she's trying desperately to convince these townspeople that, no, I have an eyewitness who says Sims was on the scene. I haven't heard John claim it was Sims.
Mm-hmm.
I would have no reason to think it was Sims unless I was telling the truth. Very obviously believable story. Everyone says, "Nah, harmonica. You don't understand. Your puny little woman brain doesn't, clearly you don't get it. His harmonica was there.
Yeah. So
So he has to be the hawk. He clearly did it. The harmonica was there." It's as simple as that. I'm going to say something Ruth says, and then Micah, you tell me what happens afterwards. Ruth says, "You don't understand. Mr. Sims is the hawk."
Yeah.
And what happens?
So, Sims's posse men are
The dunderheads.
The dunderheads, yes. Once they hear that she says that, she's like, "Rats! She's crossed us.
She's double-crossed us. Dag nabbit."
They go like balls to the wall, like just storm the trial.
They run straight in. They practically kick down the front door of the saloon.
I think they probably do.
I think they do. And what do they say?
I don't recall.
They point their guns at everyone. They'll stick them up. All the townsfolk raise their hands, and then they lock eyes with Sims and say, "Don't worry, boss. We got you." Sims was literally going to be fine. He was going to completely get away with this.
Absolutely.
It's a total farce. They completely fuck it up. They completely fuck it up for him. And it's incredible. It's simply incredible. Now, there's a whole scene of basically the whole townsfolk are like, "Oh my god, we were wrong."
Yeah.
Sims is a guy. Sims grabs Ruth, runs off. John, seeing Sims take Ruth, runs, jumps on Duke, rides off after him. Everyone has their hands up, except for one character. Like, who is this character and what are they doing?
Who's the character?
It's the judge.
Oh my god.
The
yes,
judge.
how
What's
can I
the judge
forget?
do while everyone has their hands up?
He reaches for his double barrel shotgun.
It's a huge shotgun.
It's
as
massive.
tall as he is.
It's a hunting shotgun. That's what it is. It's huge.
He fires it, and a huge cloud of smoke comes out of the muzzle.
Yes.
And he says, "Poke him up! Fucking put your hands up!" He didn't swear. It's a movie from the 30s, but he's basically screaming at him, flailing this giant shotgun around, and all the bandits immediately throw their hands up, so the townsfolk tie him up and run off after John and Mr. Sims. This is the climactic moment of the movie.
Absolutely.
Mr. Sims is riding with Ruth back to his compound in Mexico. The two of them enter the compound. They go upstairs, and Mr. Sims is like, "This is my room. We're gonna stay here." While this is happening, John circles the compound, stands on the back of Duke,
Cowboy shit.
jumps from the horse onto a balcony, pulling himself up onto the second story, and then rushes perfectly into the exact room where Mr. Sims and Ruth is. The townspeople, at this point, we get a scene of them racing forward, and then we get a curious scene of the judge struggling to get his horse to stand up.
His horse Ronald.
He's yelling, "Come on, Ronald, won't you stand up? We've got to go save that lady." This is important. I don't know why the film loves this scene so much, but until the movie literally ends, we're going to keep cutting back to it.
Yep.
During the most climactic, intense moment of the movie.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times we're going to cut back to this judge.
Yeah.
Just trying to get his horse to stand up. And so now we have John Wayne and Sims having a fist fight, like a brutal fist fight. Each punch one of them throws, the other person flies across the room.
They throw about 5 chairs
They
at least.
keep breaking chairs over each other's heads. And what's amazing is John Wayne breaks a chair over Sims' head, and then it instantaneously cuts to that fucking judge
Yes.
trying to get his horse to stand up, and it keeps cutting back there.
Yeah.
It'll be fight, judge, fight, judge.
It's incredible.
Eventually, Sims jumps off the balcony, and tries to run away.
Yeah.
Where he is cornered by Duke. At the same time, the townsfolk have rushed into the compound and are subduing all of the gang members there.
Yeah.
During this time, Mr. Sims is brutally stomped to death by Duke the horse. And I mean brutally. You don't see blood, but you very clearly see Duke the horse shoving his little horse foot to where his head would be as a lifeless body is sprawled out on the ground.
It's gruesome.
It's unbelievably gruesome. And after this happens, it cuts back to the judge. It cuts to the judge again. And you see him as his horse falls over sleeping. He's like, "Oh, Ronald." It's so jarring. You feel all this emotional weight building up. They're in the compound, and everyone's like, "Oh man, John, we're sorry for trying to hang you, literally hang you, and being upset that you're given a trial at all. What can we do for you?" And John, cool as ice, says, "I've got everything I want. and kisses Ruth, and the movie ends
Just
instantly.
abruptly. Absolutely.
Instantly, like halfway through the kiss, the movie just ends, credits roll, music going. It's crazy. There's zero falling action. There's no fat on this movie.
They don't acknowledge Sims being mauled to death at all.
No one reacts.
one.
No one reacts. It just happens. He's beaten to death by a horse. Talking about, usually people are beating a dead horse. Usually it's the other way around. This one's just beating the shit out of a dead man.
Yeah.
It's really spectacular.
Absolutely.
And that is Ride Him Cowboy.
Yep.
That's the plot of the movie. Mike, is there any other information I should know about Ride Him Cowboy?
Well, most importantly, I think this film about had 1/100th of the budget that A Big Trail had. It had a budget of $28,000. $28,000 for this film.
20? That's so little.
Yep.
That's fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Let
Let me do the math here. At most, so that's like $280,000
it was barely $500,000.
Barely $500,000.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So it was like.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Like.
This is a better movie than
Absolutely.
than A Big Trail.
Absolutely.
This is such a better movie.
It is. And interestingly, guess what the box office was?
50,000?
$220,000. It was a raging success.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It multiplied its budget by 10. Just about.
Yeah.
That's spectacular.
Incredible.
It was a smash hit in 32.
Yeah.
That's
32.
not unimpressive.
Height of the Depression.
Height of the Depression. That's extremely impressive.
Yeah. Incredible. I do have one more little fact. Apparently, the British title for this film was The Hawk, which I found interesting initially, but I mean, since, The Hawk now it makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
It absolutely does.
I think that is a better title than Ride Him Cowboy.
It definitely is.
That is a much better title. I didn't know these movies got released in the UK.
Yeah, but apparently so.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
That's pretty good to know.
And then I have one more little trivia. Our favorite judge. So this film was a remake of the 1926 film Unknown Cavalier.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting title. But that judge, the crazy-ass judge, he played the same role back in the original 1926 film.
No, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
6 years later, he's like, I'll play that guy again.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I would like to be that guy
Absolutely.
once more.
Oh, man.
That is fantastic.
Incredible.
I had a great time with this movie.
It is so much fun.
Genuinely. And I mean this, we would jokingly suggested maybe watch A Big Trail. I think this is worth watching. If you like westerns and pulpy action scenes.
Yep.
It's got comedy.
Yeah, much more lighthearted.
It's a very funny movie.
Yeah.
It's got some fun action going on.
Yeah.
Some interesting,
Absolutely.
classic western, shooting the top of a cactus off.
Yeah.
That's as classic western as it gets.
Absolutely.
It's just a fun ride.
Mm-hmm.
It's genuinely a fun, lighthearted movie. It can get surprisingly gruesome.
Yeah.
It's dark underneath the surface.
Yeah.
I mean, they kill a man, and they burn a ranch down.
Mm-hmm.
They leave someone out to die in the scalding heat of the fucking desert. But also, there's a super intelligent horse that understands a rope.
Yeah.
It understands rope, which is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. I think, is there any other information? Oh! John Wayne's Words of the West.
Words of the West. Oh, man. I'm gonna agree with you. I don't remember any, none of his quotes are sticking out to me.
There's not a lot.
He doesn't really say a whole lot.
He really doesn't. He doesn't say much of anything. My favorite line, though, is when he says, "You're the hawk," because it's so painfully obvious that this man is the hawk. Up until that point where he's saying, the hawk can do this, and then he does that thing.
Yeah.
The hawk can do that, and then he does it.
Yeah. I suppose my John Wayne's Words of the West for this film aren't actually words, but more tunes. That opening ride to the trial on the horse with the harmonica. I mean, come on.
She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. That, you know what? That's John Wayne's Deeds of the Desert.
Deeds of the Desert.
Absolutely.
That is a
great.
Oh man.
That's a spectacular choice.
Absolutely.
I believe
It's time for our rating system.
I think
now,
we
eh?
give it our rating. I went first last time, so I want to hear your thoughts first. Our innovative rating system, which will remind the viewers, goes from 2 thumbs down to 2 thumbs up.
Mm-hmm. Or just 1 thumbs up or 1
Yeah,
thumbs
anything in between.
Yep, yep.
You can do 1 up and 1 down if you want.
I thought about doing that for the big trail, but I mean, just for the sheer scope of it, I mean, how could I not at least give it 1 thumb?
I mean, I kind of think I should go to thumbs down for the actual human cost.
Yeah, maybe we'll revisit that. Maybe.
we might
have to redo some rankings. But anyway, for Ride 'Im Cowboy, I will give this film a mighty 2 thumbs up.
I am right there with you. I had a
Hell yeah.
great watch. I'm giving this 2 thumbs. This movie has the highest score we can give.
Yep.
4 thumbs up.
Yep.
Genuinely watch this movie.
It's great.
It's just a good time.
Yep.
It's a classic Western. You could watch it at any age. You can watch this with kids, I think, and they'd still enjoy it.
Yeah.
You don't get any racism.
No.
There's no racism in this
Yeah.
movie that I could detect.
No.
Because it's all white people.
Yeah.
You could argue that in and of itself is racist, but
I mean, it's the 1930s.
it's
I mean,
the 30s. Of course there are.
Yeah.
There's no overt racism,
Yeah.
and therefore, that's as good. I imagine we're gonna stop being able to say that
Yeah.
halfway through this adventure.
Yeah.
But that was Ride Him Cowboy.
What is our next film? I'm jumping with joy to find out.
Our next film is gonna be The Big Stampede,
The Big Stampede.
which I believe is another John Wayne and Duke film.
John and Duke duo? Oh my heavens.
And I've got to be honest, I'm really excited because this one was the two they have actual on-screen chemistry.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they'll play the same characters.
I don't know.
Because Duke is called Duke.
Yes.
Is this going to be the adventures of John Drury and the Duke? Or is it going to be another guy and then still just the Duke? I'm overflowing with questions and intrigue about The Big Stampede.
I guess we'll have to find out next week.
We'll have to find out next
Stay
week.
tuned. Should I do a plug?
Yes. Give us a
Alright.
plug, Micah.
Absolutely. So, if you guys want to hit us up on social media, we got a Twitter at
No Pain, No
at No
Wayne.
Pain, No Wayne 1. Thanks to the guy that took No Pain, No Wayne. That's real great of you, Guy. And then our Instagram is No Pain No Wayne Pod. Just that on Instagram. And do you want an email?
Yes. So we've come up with a fun idea. If anyone's interested, we have the email address nopainnoWayne1@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
So by next week Wednesday's episode, if you have anything you want to say, if you want any questions, if you believe we missed something in these movies, please send us an email. We'd love to have a mail time.
Oh, yes.
So if you want to reach out to us, that is the best place to do it. Otherwise, feel free to leave a comment under the video, or if you're on Spotify, love to have a rating from you. Hear
Preferably
what
5.
you feel about it. Yeah, if you're gonna, actually, you know what? If you don't like the podcast, maybe just don't.
Yeah,
just don't review it.
just-
You can't actually review Spotify unless you like it. I think
Yeah.
those are the rules. I think
Yeah.
that's legal.
Yeah, that's true.
But otherwise, we'd love to hear more from you.
Yeah.
We're loving the project so
This
far.
is great.
We will see you next Wednesday.
Yes.